Yeah, they can't get here. The show's the best of.
All right, Joanne, it's you and me. Play the long version. You know Inagata Devita?
Remember when we did that to the Mussers?
Yeah.
They weren't here on time. They walked in at 30 seconds late. We were already in the show. They had driven down from Virginia City. 10 seconds. Here we go.
All right.
To him first.
Okay.
3. All right, listeners, you certainly know what that theme song means. That's right. It is another episode of Mustang Matters. Now, let me tell you how you get involved with Mustang Matters, and you do it right now today. You can come join us. We're at the Reno Town Mall. We will seat you behind a microphone. Any and all questions or comments you have about our American heritage, the wild horse and burros nationwide. That's why we have Mustang Matters. The show was created by and is hosted today by none other than Lacey J. Dalton, country western singer-star. She is on set. Come meet her in person. Get behind a microphone. Also, it's going to be hosted with Cindy Hartzell of Wainema Ranch. And speaking of Wainema Ranch, on set with us today, who are going to be interviewed by Lacey and by Cindy Hartzell, we have Kat Ennis, who's the horse trainer out there at Wainema Ranch. And we also have the young lady who runs the Wainema Ranch. Her name is Shari Floyd. She's going to be on set. We always kick off Mustang Matters as follows, listeners. We always start off with one of the hosts of Mustang Matters, Joanne Spotted Bear, a Lakota from Pine Ridge Reservation, giving us not only American Indian flute music, but also a Lakota prayer. So, Joanne, take it away for Mustang Matters.
Thank you very much, Eddie. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to start out with a prayer and then a flute song. Atewa kantan katakashla wopla ushmailo omakiayo. Le shunka wakan ki dawush the hecha. Na tatanka na shunka ki yuha dawush the hecha. Atewa kantan katakashla oyati ki yuha dawush the hecha. Ask you to bless over this day and bless over our people and all of our animals. In Jesus' name, pray. Oh, Dakiapi. Amen.
Thank you for that, Joanne Spotted Bear. Listeners, that was Joanne Spotted Bear, if you just tuned in, co-host of Mustang Matters, heard not only right here in northern Nevada on Renegade Radio, but also Native Voice One radio stations nationwide. And when I say nationwide, I always say coast to coast, border to border, and Joanne?
Res to res.
That's right, reservation to reservation. Now, listeners, again, let me tell you one last time how you get involved in today's show. You come join us. You come join us. You actually get behind a microphone. We'll get you behind that microphone. You can text us during today's show. That text number is 775-384-4444. Or you can call us toll free from anywhere in the nation. That number is 855-790-8255. Now remember, get involved. Mustang Matters. We're all trying to make a difference with our American heritage, the wild horse and burros. Now, tell you what I'm going to do. We're going to start with you, Kat, if you don't mind. Let's personalize the show for our listeners nationwide right now. Where were you born, educated, and what led you to be as passionate as you are today as you work at the Wainema Ranch for the Wild Mustangs?
Well, I was born in Grand Forks, North Dakota, but being a military brat, I was raised all over the world. I got into horses in England and started riding there, and then when I moved to California, I went to Feather River College to get a degree in training horses.
Wow. So it's like an animal husbandry type of, or animal science type of degree they have at Feather River. That's phenomenal. That's wonderful. Now, you said something that really sparked interest here in the audience. Listeners, come join us, Reno Town Mall, across from the Reno Sparks Convention Center. You said you got into horses in England. You know, when I think of England, I really don't think of horses? You know, I mean, don't ask
Mustang
me
Matters.
why. Maybe it's I led a sheltered life or something, but is there a big following in England? We have a lot of listeners right now. We have them listening to us in Boston, and I don't mean Massachusetts. I mean Boston, United Kingdom. I see them on the map. Also Lincolnshire listening to us as well as London right now. So here's what I want you to do, Kat. Is there a big following for the horses in England?
Yeah, everywhere you go, as long as you're in the country, there's horses, cows, sheep. From what I remember, horses were a pretty big thing in England.
Wow, I like hearing that. Now, also, I learned this the other day, and then we'll turn it over to Cindy Hartzell, the host today of the show, and Joanne Spotted Bear's here, and also Lacey J. Dalton, country western singer-star. She'll be here momentarily to continue with this interview here on Mustang Matters. Before we do that, one promise we've always made on Mustang Matters is we always go to callers, always go to callers. So before Cindy Hartzell continues with this interview, I'm going to go to our very first caller, Margie Shepard. Margie, welcome to Mustang Matters.
Oh, good morning, and thank you, Eddie Floyd. You know, I really wanted to call in today to show real strong support regarding the Mustangs. Something I wanted to share. The Mustang breed itself is known on a global basis because they have a spirit that can't be broken. They have won some of the most phenomenal cross-country races throughout Arabia, throughout other parts of the world. They have made movies about one in particular. His name was Hidalgo,
Wow.
a Mustang.
Spirit.
Yeah.
You bet.
You better
And
believe
so,
it.
ladies, I really want to tell you I support this cause, and anything I can do to come forth to assist, please. You don't even have to ask. Just send up a smoke signal, and I'm there.
We love that. Hey, Margie, we want to thank you for the call. That was very kind of you. That was Margie Shepard. She called listeners. Let me tell you, you can do the same thing. That number's 855-790-8255. Again, thanks, Margie Shepard, for being our first caller here on Mustang Matters Nationwide. Now let's turn it over to Cindy Hartzell, the host of today's Mustang Matters.
Good morning, everybody. Margie, one quick thing.
She's not
I'd
there.
like to tell you, you could contact www.wynemaranch.com, and there's tons of ways that you can help us out at the ranch and helping our wild horses.
Yeah, especially help me shovel on weekends, right? My boss, Bruce Hartzell, your husband, you know, help me hold a shovel. You can do that too, Margie. But again, listeners, if you want to get involved like Margie did, that number's 855-790-8255.
And you know, we have a really exciting show today, you guys. I wanted to focus on, of course, Mustangs, but what I want to talk about today is how Mustangs have changed your life. So listeners, please call in and share that with us. And I have some special guests here. I don't know if Eddie's introduced everybody that's here, but we have Kat Enos, who is part of our training team. She's an amazing person, freshly graduated out of Feather River College, and she's just awesome with the horses. And you know, we have Joanne, but the one that I really am excited about having here today is one of the bravest, most courageous, and devoted women I've ever met in my life. And the more that I get to know her, the more that I am in love with her and her heart and soul. And that is the one and only Shari Floyd. Shari, thanks for being with us today.
Well, thank you so much, Cindy. That was really sweet of you to say. And for some time, my husband Eddie has tried to get me on one of his shows, and I have resisted because it scares me to death.
You know, isn't that amazing, Cindy, when you think about it? Now, we're talking about a woman who absolutely, you know, committed to being married to me, and being on the radio scares her? Are you kidding me? Let me pick a letter out of the alphabet. Why? Why does it scare you to be behind that microphone?
It just does.
Well, I tell you what, one thing that doesn't scare her, though, Cindy, is those horses out at the Wynema Ranch.
She's done some pretty amazing things out there with those horses all by herself. She spent the entire winter last year caring for, I think at that time there was about 75 horses out there on 200 acres, all newly to being captured and all having just gone through a traumatic experience of being sent to the auction and all those wonderful, nasty things that go along with it. But Shari stepped up to the plate. She opened her ranch. She opened her heart. She took in those 75 horses. She fed every day, twice a day, by herself. Kat and I, we're not really sure how she did it, but she did it, and she rescued some orphaned horses.
You know, I'm going to jump in right now and tell you how it all started, okay? You know, one day I get a phone call and she said, I'm going to lunch with Lacey, you know, our very own Lacey J. Dalton. And then the next day I drive home and there's 110 horses out in the field. I said, honey, I forbid you to ever go to lunch with Lacey J. Dalton ever again.
Lacey, defend yourself.
You better believe it. Defend yourself, Lacey. You've been doing this for quite some time with the Let 'em Run Foundation.
Thank you, Eddie, and hi, everybody. It's
Hi
great
there.
to be here
Hi.
with you, and it's nice to see Shari in front of a microphone and Kat. I know you guys aren't entirely comfortable with us yet, but you know, it's only us. Us and the, how many listeners now?
Well, just about. Don't get frightened. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 750 to 800,000 people listening to every word you say. So don't be scared, Charlie.
So,
No pressure.
you know, ladies, just, you know, try to avoid the F word.
Tough to do
That's
sometimes.
very tough for me, Eddie, you know how I am.
But you know, Lacey, let's go around the table because Cindy brought it up, and I think that's perfect, Cindy. You know, I'd like to continue that interview with Shari. She went through a lot, and she's going to share that with our listeners nationwide. But also, Lacey, real quick, what got you involved for our new listeners nationwide and around the world? What got you involved with the wild horses?
And how have they changed your life?
What life? Actually, Eddie, in 1990, there were a bunch of us entertainers down in Las Vegas, and we were called by the Bureau of Land Management and said, would you come with Johnny Lee and me and a whole bunch of people? One of the guys from the radio station said, the BLM is going to do a big sale here, and we want it to be really successful, and we want it to be the best one ever. So we all got on the radio, we got on TV, and we did a lot of stuff. And actually, that one in 1990 has been one of the very best Bureau of Land Management wild horse sales. And I've always been interested in horses. My sister had a riding stable when we were kids.
Wow.
And I've had horses all my life. I don't now have horses. My horses, when the ranch ran out of water, you know, up there at the Lacey J. Dalton Indoor Camping Experience, we had to move the horses over there at Shingletown at Diane Nelson's great sanctuary, which is just a fabulous place. If
It
you
is.
want to visit, they're absolutely great. That was really the beginning in 1990 of starting to advocate for the wild horses. And you know, when I got here to the Virginia range, I moved here to Nevada because of the wild horses. When I got here, I realized that they were in terrible trouble. And we've been trying to work together, all of us, to save a lot of those Virginia range horses ever since.
You know, Lacey, thank you so much for bringing that up. And Cindy, I'm going to come back to you. But again, our promise is that people who want to just simply call in and either thank or make a comment or a question, we always go to them. So let's go to beautiful Incline Village now up at Lake Tahoe and Melinda. Melinda, you're live on Mustang Matters.
Hi, good morning. Oh, it's so good to hear from both of you this morning. And I wanted to bring up a little story that I had and then ask a question.
All right.
I was on my way back from Los Angeles area, and I got lost one day, and I drove out to Tonopah. I'm like, oh, here's where Tonopah is. Oh, okay. And I didn't know I didn't know where Tonopah was. I'm like, well, now I know. Okay, good. And I was just driving down this road, and there's no one around. It was really interesting, and this beautiful horse. And I don't know, I imagine it was probably a Mustang, I don't know, walked right across the street in front of my car. And I just totally stopped. It was like, well, I guess you know the neighborhood, so I'm going to stop. And I watched this horse, and it was just gorgeous. And I got out of the car because I was so curious. And, you know, he kind of walked away like, whatever, you know, I don't have time for you right now. Beautiful animal, beautiful animal. I probably would have tried to pet him if I would have had an apple or something to eat. I would have put it down for him. I don't know all of what is actually going on with the capture of these animals. I don't really know. So that was my question. What's going on right now with that?
You know, Melinda, I'm so glad you called in, and thank you. Keep listening. I'm gonna have you just clear the line now so that you can hear off air, you know, the answer to that because of the time delay. Listeners, Melinda called 855-790-8255. So can you, Cindy?
I'll do my best to answer that question, and I know Lacey will kick in if I get stuck. It's a horrible thing that's happening to our wild Mustangs around the United States. We're not the only ones who horses are being targeted, but here in Nevada, our horses are basically being singled out, captured, and sent either to a holding confinement of the BLM if they fall into their jurisdiction, and they're basically warehousing horses. We have over 1,500 in the Palomino Valley holding containment here in Nevada. We also have our
Cindy, that's the Bureau of Land Management. We always throw that term around.
Oh, yes.
I always remember that there was a time when somebody said to me, the BLM, and I thought, what are they talking about?
Right, good
Bureau
call.
of Land Management,
Right.
Federal Bureau of Land Management.
Yeah,
Sorry.
thank you so much,
Yeah,
Lacey, you're
thank you.
correct. And then there is our Nevada state horses who fall into the jurisdiction of the Agriculture Department. And they actually have been working with some local and owned businesses in capturing them, setting up traps and capturing them. They go up for adoption approximately 15 to 30 days after they've been captured, and if nobody adopts them, which very few get to know they're up for adoption, they'll end up going to the auction. It seems, and there's no written proof of this, but it does seem that the Bureau of Land Management has made it their purpose in life at this time to rid us of our wild Mustangs, who are actually protected, and they helped us claim this USA that we all so much love.
You know, Cindy, you're so right, and 80% of us, 80% of the people in the United States want to preserve and protect the wild horses, but our government doesn't listen to us. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
In that last poll, Lacey, you're absolutely right. It was actually 82.3% of the
Come
people
on,
polled. 83.2% of the people polled actually said, are you kidding me? Let's save, let's preserve. Even if we put them on eco sanctuaries, let's preserve the wild horses.
Eddie, you're so right, and there are some very, very powerful interests that do not want to preserve the wild horses, and there's a wonderful documentary called Wild Horses and Renegades. And you, Melinda, you can get this documentary on the documentary channel. Willie Nelson, Sheryl Crow, and Viggo Mortensen, and Michael Blake, who wrote Dances with Wolves, and Daryl Hannah, all participated in this and supported the work of a man named James Kleiner, who made this incredible documentary telling, really, in their opinion, and the former head of the Bureau of Land Management is also on that documentary, saying really it's the huge corporate interests, mostly multinational corporations, oil and gas, mining, and large agricultural interests.
Right.
They want the horses off the Western Plains. Why would they want the horses off there? Why would they want to do that? Do you know the answer to that, Ed?
Well, I do. They're worried about them getting in the way of them making money. That's what, if you follow the dollar, that's what their biggest concern is. And they certainly don't want a bunch of advocacy groups snooping around, you know, their places of income. And those places of income happen to be where they're drilling and also where they're grazing. You know, let's do the math, Lacey. There are 6 million cattle on public land. 6 million here in Nevada. There are 4 million other wildlife. Now, there are 30,000 wild horses. Do the math. What kind of destruction are they doing to public lands?
And 0 buffalo.
And, yeah, and that was Joanne Spotterbeer saying 0 buffalo. But you know what, Lacey, I tell you what, you're absolutely right. And that's why I love a show like Mustang Matters, because not one show has ever gone by. I don't care what we're talking about. Not one show has ever gone by that we do not receive a myriad of emails, a myriad of texts saying, thank you for Mustang Matters. We did not know.
They don't, Eddie. Folks do not know. And what they really don't know is that even though these corporate interests and I think really the reason, in my opinion, the reason that they want the horses off the Western Plains is, you know, if we start noticing, a lot of us love the horses, watch the horses, if we start noticing that they're not doing well, or they can't get to water, or the water's polluted, then we take notice of what's going on way up in the bigger picture. And this is above our government. This is not even really the government. This is way above it with the multinational corporations
Right.
who have loads and loads of resources to put into us not knowing what's going on.
Amen.
So for those folks of you out there who don't know what's going on, there's a tremendous push right now. Horse slaughter has been again legalized in the United States. It was not legal here for the last 7 years, so a terrible thing happened. Horses were sent to Canada and to Mexico where they died in the most inhumane ways. There is no humane way to slaughter a horse. Well, what our government is building up to, and I put this in a newsletter, in my opinion, 3.5 years ago, is, oh my gosh, we have 60,000 horses in one short-term holding. Oh my goodness, we don't have the money to deal with it. What shall we do? Well, we can try to adopt them out, which is great. Well, that's not going to work. We just still have too many. There are just too many of them. I guess we'll have to, I guess we're going to have to euthanize them. Oh, well, we can't do that. That's too expensive. Well, then we'll have to shoot them. Oh, no, what we'll do is we'll send them to auction. We'll send them to the sales, and they'll all be adopted by people who love them. We know that for the very most part, an untrained horse going to slaughter, especially a wild horse, is going to go to slaughter, period, end. That's it.
End
That's
of
the
story.
whole picture. Melinda and other listeners, I hope we put it in a nutshell, as it were.
You know, and I'm glad you did that, because I think we did put it in a nutshell. Now we're going to go back, because it's obvious, Lacey, it's obvious to people, even when you're up on stage performing, it's obvious to people how the wild horses, the wild burros, the wild Mustangs have changed your life. Back to you, Cindy.
Yes, we are. Everything you do, Lacey, is for the horses, and we appreciate it. Let's move on to Kat. So, Kat, can you share with us, how have the Mustangs changed your life? I know that you got really immersed into it when you joined us in June, not really knowing what you were signing on for, but we're sure grateful you've hung in there. So tell us, what have they done for you?
Well, being a trainer, just getting out there and watching 110 Mustangs interact, it just gives you a whole other perspective on communication, and you get to learn more just watching them move and watching them interact than you ever do in a classroom. But
You actually have a degree in this, don't you, Kat?
yes,
You got your degree from, was it Feather River?
Yes, ma'am.
Feather, and what was your degree? What is that called?
equine science.
Equine science. Now get
Equine
right on
science.
that microphone now. Let me tell you, Lacey, I just thought of something. I will share it with the entire world right now.
All
Ready?
right, go
My
for
wife
it.
goes to lunch with you, and we wind up with 110 horses. Then you invite she and I to go to Taylorsville and watch a Mustang event, and we wind up with Kat. You are forbidden to hang around my wife ever again. No, in all seriousness,
Lacey and Shari
that's
together.
right, Cindy.
But I just raise hell. I mean, let's just face it. Any place I go, there's just trouble. That's it. It's just what happens. But we were so fortunate to go up to Taylorsville to the Extreme Rescue Mustang Makeover, which we are hopefully participating in this year.
Yes.
We want to send some of the horses from Wainema Ranch down there, some of the Virginia Range horses that are Hidden Valley horses, down to California to be trained. And then there's a big prize. There's a prize of $2,500, and I believe this year there's going to be a horse trailer that goes with that.
Wow.
And I like this Extreme Rescue Mustang Makeover because the participants are allowed in the Extreme Mustang Makeover, which is a big deal, a big United States deal. The trainers only have the horses for 3 months. We think that puts an awful lot of pressure on the trainers and the horses. This event, actually, there will be more time, between 4.5 and 6 months.
Beautiful.
The trainers will have the horses. So we think that's better. Do you agree with that, Kat? Do you like a longer period of time, or do you think that 3 months is enough? Or how do you feel about that?
Honestly, it depends on the trainer and the horse. Everything always is dependent on trainer and horse. Some really, really good trainers, they can get it done in a matter of a few months. Others, they need more time, or some horses, they'll need a little bit more time. But for the average trainer, 6 months is probably a better deal.
Boy, you
Thank
know,
you.
Kat,
Thank you.
that's one of the things that I love so much about you, is you are a true horseman. A horseman that recognizes not everybody has the same abilities, nor do every horse. And being able to take the time that it takes for each individual is going to take less time and really make a wonderful, wonderful horse. And these extreme makeovers are awesome, as long as you know what you're doing and you know that the horse's welfare is absolutely above and beyond every part of the competition, which you did, didn't you?
Yeah, I ended up not riding Cougar because he wasn't ready.
Thank you. Shari, what do you think? I'm keeping you awful quiet here, and it's your day to speak up. So share with us.
Skip me.
No. I think Lacey has a burning question for you.
Wait, I just, you know, on this topic, Shar, you've been out there with those Mustangs. You've had horses your entire life, and even had some Mustangs before the Wainema Ranch project. And I'm wondering how you feel about this. You've been observing these horses for a long time, and you've been a rancher for a long time. And I'm wondering, what do you think? Do you prefer a 3-month period, or do you think that's enough, or do you agree with Kat, or
No, I agree with Kat.
do
I
you?
think 6 months is more fair for the average trainer, average person, average horse.
And let's face it, a lot of the trainers are just starting out. A lot of them have their degrees, and a lot of them are advanced 4-H kids, but a lot of them are just starting out too. So I think this 6-month thing that Tawny Preisner over in California has started is a real good project.
You know, Lacey, thank you for that, and Kat, great response, and Shari for agreeing with Kat on the 6 months. I know less about horses than any of you on this entire panel. There's not a week goes by I don't learn something, especially since, Lacey, you created this Mustang Matters talk show. I'm learning something each and every week. Now, Shari, I've said this, I've said this a long time ago, and I still mean it. Listeners, this is Mustang Matters. The Shari I'm referring to is my wife. She runs the ranch while I run my mouth here on the radio, day after day. But you know, when I first came home, I was interviewed, and they asked me to tell a little bit about my wife, and I said it in this manner, Lacey. I said, you judge a man's character after he has gained everything. You judge a woman's character after her man has lost everything. And for that reason, I'll always love Shari Floyd, who runs the Wainema Ranch, because she did lose everything. And I want her to share that a little bit with us, if you don't mind, as we close out this Mustang Matters. Shari?
I didn't lose everything. I still have you, and that's really
Yeah.
the only thing
Yes.
that ever matters.
Yes.
So,
But, you know, there was a period of time there when, things were bad. I was away, and for those just listening right now, I was away. I was at Terminal Island, and for 2.5 years you were on your own. Share that with everyone, if you don't mind. Can you do that?
yes, I can do that. Well, what happened is Eddie was gone for 2.5, almost 3 years, and our future looked very bleak. We literally lost everything, pretty much. I was still at the ranch though that whole time, and even though some of the winters I had no power and our water froze up, and I was alone out there quite often. And but I hung in there and till Eddie got home,
And the Mustangs arrived.
and the Mustangs arrived.
Yeah.
So
The Mustangs have done a tremendous job, Lacey, and I know she's having a little bit of trouble telling the story the way it really truly happened, but they've changed her and my life. And a big shout out right now to Jerry Smith, the actual one who's allowed everything to go on
God
right now.
bless you, Jerry Smith.
Amen.
Your families, God bless you.
Amen.
Thank
Amen.
you,
Because
thank you.
because now the Wainema Ranch has become a wild horse sanctuary, a 501c3, thanks to the Let 'em Run Foundation, Lacey J. Dalton, the Hidden Valley Wild Horse Protection Fund. It's their horses out there, and I've got to share with you right now that if there's anything, Cindy, that you wanted to hear from anybody, it would be from Shari and yours truly. The Mustangs have truly given me a new passion. I used to live for weekends for one reason, okay? And that was so I could go fishing and, you know, enjoy being away from this microphone. Now, for the first time in my entire life, this is going to scare a lot of people who know me. I work. I actually work and love it. I love it because we're working with a reason, and that is to save our American heritage, the wild Mustangs.
I want you to tell everyone what your name is.
No, I can't do that.
I'm gonna tell him.
All right, go ahead.
We call him the man from Snowy River.
Yeah, because one day everything was failing, but I jumped on my horse. Tell them the name of my horse.
ATV.
It's Quad. The name of my horse is Quad, a four-wheel drive ATV, and I was able to round that horse in there. Now, listeners,
On
with
two wheels.
On 2 wheels, I might add. But you know what? Thank you for that, Cindy Hartzell. Thank you, Kat Ennis. Listeners, those of you listening on Fox News Radio right now, we want to tell you thank you for listening to Mustang Matters. Remember, it's every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Come meet the creator of Mustang Matters, country western star Lacey J. Dalton in person. Also, you can meet Cindy Hartzell, Kat Ennis, my wife, Shari Floyd. I am proud of each and every one of them. Those of you who are listening on other radio stations nationwide, you stay tuned. When we come back, you get to hear Joanne Spotted Bear with that beautiful flute music and another Lakota prayer. We'll see you right after this break.
Hi, this is Eddie Floyd, host of AM.
I ran out of time.